meeting is being recorded.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. A couple of things schedule-wise to go over first. Soccer will be home this weekend. They host USF on Thursday, and then FAU on Sunday. Volleyball is in Dallas this weekend, playing SMU. Just a reminder that we did announce our kick time for Tulane next Saturday. That'll be at 3 p.m. and on ESPN2. Next weekend is also the weekend that we induct the next class in the Rice Athletic Hall of Fame. So that'll take place on Friday, and then most of the members of the class will then be honored during the game on Saturday. We do have several people on Zoom in addition to those here in the auditorium. So just a reminder, if on Zoom, we'll take care of all our questions in the auditorium first, and then we'll ask you to raise your hands and we'll call on you at that point. All right? Coach Lundgren.
All right. Good afternoon. Appreciate everybody coming out today to talk about these Rice Owls. It's great to be back in kind of the flow of the week after last week being a bye week. Obviously, bye weeks have a lot of value as well. I challenge the kids to get their rest and recovery, to do a deeper dive into their academics and make sure we catch up or get ahead, whatever the case may be, and to attack their Tulsa prep. And I felt like they did that. We also had some good young guy work, and me and the staff all got to get out and recruit last Friday. So saw some of the future Owls that will be joining our program. So really good, productive bye week. As you guys know, I never talk about it as an off week, but the bye week was very good, and excited to be back in this grind with this team right now. We've had some good prep this week, and we know that we're going into Tulsa to play a very good team, a well-coached football team led by Coach Kevin Wilson, and a team that's in a very similar spot to where we are. They're 3-3. They probably came out of last week feeling like, or out of their last game, feeling like they could have and should have won that game. And so very similar spots. But I can promise you that my staff, myself, and this team, all these players are excited about this opportunity to go up there and play 2 days from now. With that, I'll open up for any questions.
Coach, what does Tulsa do best?
I think you see a lot of Coach Wilson's fingerprint on what they do. I think they play very physical and very tough. So that's what they do best is their style of play, if you will. You know, they've got a couple quarterbacks that are playing. Bringing back last year's guy came in at the end of the game in terms of Braxton, did some good things for him at the end of the FAU game. The FAU game is really hard to assess because it was such a quagmire. It was raining sideways on the film. So it's hard to assess their offense on that. Defensively, they play with a great motor. They got guys like Ben Kapowski, I believe is his name, Kopinski, who played for Derek Mason last year at Oklahoma State, who transferred in there, number 0, and he's doing a great job wreaking havoc on their defense from that rush position. They got safeties that will run and hit, and they've got number 1 and number 9 who kind of started the year. Number 39's jumped in there and done a nice job in the last few games. So they got guys that I think are really bought into their schemes and are trying to play this game the right way, playing very hard.
What do you see as a couple key matchups?
You know, the line of scrimmage is always going to be telling. We know that. Not that it's a matchup, but the turnover deal, we certainly saw all too well how big of a deal that is. We've got to protect the football, and we've got to start taking it away more on defense. And if we can get that equation, that's maybe not the matchup you were looking for in terms of person versus person or position group versus position group. But, like, the thing is, like, we've got to be an efficient offense that has the explosive capabilities, which is what we've shown, right? Like, aside from 3 plays in our last contest, we played pretty dang well offensively. It felt like we got the run game going. Defensively, we've got to go back to being that physical team that doesn't allow teams to have anything. We've got to make every yard earned. We got to have no leaky yards. You look at our defense, the way they played against Texas and the way they played against Houston, and if we can get back to playing with that kind of fire and consistency and attention to detail, we're going to be a hard team to deal with. We've been very clear that we are all we need in this room. We're excited about the team we have. We're excited moving forward. And then, again, I didn't make any bones about it. We didn't play good enough on special teams last game. And we've got the right guy in charge of our special teams in Coach Pete Alomar, who's done a great job correcting some of those things, whether it's through a couple of schematic tweaks or a couple of personnel moves. And so I have all the confidence in the world we'll be back on track special teams-wise this week as well.
Is there an area or two you think the team got better at during this bye week?
Yeah, there's not one or two. There's a lot of things. I mean, we came out and although we weren't on the practice field long, we had really good practices where we got some jump starts, we got some good technical work, some technique work, if you will, with our coaches in some individual periods. Came out and got a couple periods of Tulsa prep, early Tulsa practice, if you will, and then we turned it into a young guy scrimmage, and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see our old heads support those guys and the current next future, the current next wave of Rice Owls kind of growing in this system and seeing some of those guys do some really cool things.
Who kind of caught your eyes from that young guy scrimmage? I don't know if that's a favorite.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I love when we can do it on home games. And I love when we get to do it on that Wednesday and Thursday of the bye week. That was awesome. I think Ashton Ajuku had some great plays on defense. Chris Bruce had an interception. I love the young linebacker group. I think Bo Barton and Charlie are doing some great things when they're in there. We also played Ty Morris. So I guess what I would tell you, Matt, is it was more extensive than a Friday scrimmage. On those Friday scrimmages, we're really just practicing those guys that are going to redshirt or won't have a big contribution in the game. Last Wednesday and Thursday, if they weren't a one, they were really practicing and playing football in the Rice system last week. So that was a lot of fun to watch those guys stand up and make some plays. Arden Napier made some plays. Justin Williams had his first touchdown. Chase Jenkins participated, took a zone read about 80 yards, and just kind of you saw Chase grow, and Shoki had some good growth as well. So you always notice the quarterback position as we talk about, but those guys had a pretty good week of practice last week.
Bye week come at a good time in the injury side of things, get some guys healthy.
Yeah, I think it always does. You know, anytime you can get the extra time between games, get a few people back. The primary guy that we'll have back for this game is JoJo Jean. So it'll be great to have him back in the rotation. And I don't know that AJ will play in this game, but I'm not certain he won't. I mean, he's throwing a football again and looking like a quarterback. So it's good that he's, you know, if not this week, certainly next, I would anticipate him being able to help the Owls if needed.
And looking at Tulsa's numbers, 25th in the nation rushing. Look at what Coach Wilson has done in the past. His offensive pedigree is that a lot. It's still geared around getting the ball on the ground and running in spaces.
It is. And, you know, he was one of the first guys to play with a lot of tempo. Like, he was part of that staff at Northwestern back in the day. Him and I believe Aaron Cromer was there at the same time. They were doing a great job kind of inventing the spread running game. And then whether you watch Coach Wilson when he went to Oklahoma or when he was at Ohio State and the ways that he attacked the game and ran the football, he's always been a master of that, you know. And I've enjoyed getting to know him a little bit through the years, and certainly respect everything he does. And I see the challenges he and his offense present right now. And now you add in Spurrier and some of that background, and you got an interesting combination of offensive coaching going on right there.
Coach, were you able to kind of put it all together and take a little time since you had a little time and then just kind of get some improvement and really kind of put it all together, the team, everything just on the last game, how did it feel to have that time to be able to do that?
Yeah, it was great to have that time, Nate, because here's what our schedule was. We came in Sunday and we met with them that morning because it was also fall break, and I wanted a chance to get those guys that were local enough to get home. So we met until about 2:45 in the afternoon on Sunday. And so again, then it's more time for me and the staff to digest that game and really talk about next steps. Like, what do we want to do? Monday, I gave the staff off. I kicked everybody out of the building, turned the lights off. And then Tuesday, the coaches went back to work. We brought the kids back in at 8 p.m. Tuesday night for a team meeting. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we kind of got back after it. And Friday, they had yoga and a team run and a few things like that. And then Saturday was our Monday. And, you know, that was my big charge to them is we got to get back in this game week routine. We got to understand, like, I think it's so weird that Chuck changed the press conference to Thursday this week. I don't understand, like, why we're here 2 days before the game. Because in my mind and what I believe, it's Thursday, you know, and everything in our process.
Tulsa's defense conceptually, what do they like to do?
Yeah, they've got a front that's very similar to Iowa, if you will, and the run fits. They're going to be in a lot of field under and really do a great job trying to play incredibly hard and play their techniques. And then, you know, every fourth play, there's going to be a cross dog. There's going to be some kind of pressure pattern. So it's very Iowa-esque in that regard. But just like, you know, Coach Mason was at Oklahoma State last year, a lot of three match. Well, their passing game coordinator was with Coach Mason on that staff. So while Iowa leans heavily on the quarters coverage and split safety stuff, you're seeing them do more man and more match type coverage units or coverage families than you have in the past, and maybe than you would in a traditional Iowa defense, where the front is going to be the field under. You expect the quarters behind it. There's a lot more variation than maybe you see from an Iowa defense.
You're kind of getting into the thick of the conference schedule, where you'll have easy opponents. Kind of talk about that as you prepare. You mentioned Bobby came at a good time, but as you kind of look at the schedule, I know one game at a time. But if you could kind of talk about that and how important this Tulsa game is to get it.
Yeah, I think it's critically important because it's our next one, and we all know how bad we want this. That's one of the great things about the vicious cycle of college football is usually you never have to wait more than 7 days after you don't perform well to get another opportunity. This week we did. We had to wait 12 days, and so to get that taste out of our mouth, and that's why this is a huge game for our guys, because it's the next one, because it's a conference game, and we're really excited for this opportunity. It's going to be on ESPN, national television. I mean, what more can you ask for?
How you doing?
So Coach talked about the young Bucks scrimmage you got to watch from the side. What did you see from the young guys on defense who kind of stepped up this week?
Oh yeah, those are always great to see every year and everything. Like the energy that comes with those, being able to see the young guys compete out there and ball out. He mentioned the feeling. Guys like Ty Morris who actually had the opportunities to play for us in games. He stood out to me. Ashton, guys like Chris Bruce making plays out there. Even guys up front, like guys like Aurora Morris that was able to go out there and make some plays. So I thought it was really good to see, like you said, the future of the right side was going to compete, and just like the energy, and also seeing the old guys going out there and really like diving in and supporting these guys, coaching up like coaches on the sideline to really just see the care and the love for our young guys on the team.
And then having the bye week, a chance to kind of look back. Where do you think, as a leader on the defense, where do you think the defense got better this week?
Basically just playing more as a unit. I feel like definitely as a bye week, we had a lot more time to refine our identity, really find that tough, aggressive, like fly around team that we know that we are. To be able to come back and like regroup and then come back to and play for each other. Like having that identity and finding that again was a great opportunity to do bye week.
And then when you look ahead at Tulsa, what do you think is going to be one of the biggest challenges you'll have with their offense?
I mean, the coach already alluded to, they're going to try to run the ball. We got those two quarterbacks back there that are both athletic quarterbacks, really containing them. We're going to be our MO up front. We make them make tough decisions back there. Don't give them too much time. And they're going to mix in a little no huddle, a little tempo in there, but we dealt with that before. So really just getting lined up, resetting our order loop, and getting lined up for the next play.
Is the tempo similar to what you guys faced at USF? And did that give you some, like, hey, we've done that, so we could do this?
Yeah, they've been throughout, especially for the older guys. We played a few tempo teams out of our careers here, so we're used to playing to it. Yeah, USF. I don't think it's as fast as USF, but like that was like their identity. But with these guys, they'll mix it in a little bit, but it's nothing that we're worried about. I mean, like we know how to get lined up, we know how to get set up, we know our assignment, we know our job description. So we just gotta get lined up and play.
What did you do on the bye week?
Really, my main focus is really like getting my body back. I've been playing a lot of snaps, a lot of games, so like getting my body back right, getting my mental back right. And as you know, I'm probably in the NBA, and I'm in the NBA program, so really getting caught up on school, the dynamics, and really just regroup, handle everything in house and out of house, and like really just just regrouping mentally and physically.
Josh, two questions for you. First of all, it's always, I guess, easier to go into a bye week after a win, but you went into a bye week with a loss first, and then I'll ask you second. Let me answer that one. How did it feel, and what did you say to the guys?
Honestly, we didn't play the way that we wanted to last week, but going with the bye week, I feel like it came at a perfect time. It was tough to say, but we're able to take that loss and take for what it is, but also have time to wash it and also have time to get our minds back right for what's going on for the next opposing week. What I told the guys really just that we have a finite amount of opportunities to play these games. That we got 6 guaranteed. Also, we're hoping to get much more than that, but we just got to go all into our prep, go all into like day by day into our process because we owe it to everybody part of this program to do so. Like we got to find a amount of opportunity. So like, why not give her all? Why not put 100? Why not put in extra work on the field? Why not put in extra work off the field to like give everything that we got for our teammates and for our brothers?
Same question I have for you. How much do you know, since Saturday was Monday for you guys, how much do you know about that Tulsa offense? What can you tell us about those two quarterbacks?
I mean, like we don't know a lot about their true starting quarterback. I think number one, Braxton, like he hasn't played a lot. I've heard he had a pretty early on injury in the beginning of the season, but we know that both quarterbacks will be athletic. You know, they're going to be involved in that run game. We know that he's going to try to extend plays with his legs when he needs to, throw on the run, escape when. That's why we just got to do our job with as up front is to contain the quarterback. Like Coach kind of been on us all week about earmuff, you know, just contain the quarterback, keeping the quarterback in that pocket, forcing him to make decisions so the guys in the secondary can do what they do and lock up. And really just that rush and coverage can work together. And like, you know, they said they have a pretty good run game, you know, just stopping that, just being in our run fits, something that we harp on every week, but like comes down to us to execute it this week, just being in our run fits, having good eyes, having good presence, and really just winning that battle up front. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
How you doing?
Same kind of stuff Josh was talking about. What did you do on the bye week, and how big was that coming in the middle of the season for y'all to get some rest and kind of recollect?
Yeah, just like Coach said, there couldn't be a better time for a bye week, right in the middle of our season. But, everyone already touched on it. It sucks going into a bye week after a loss. Everyone knows it's more fun to go into a bye week after a win. But it was time for us to regroup as a team and obviously correct our mistakes. It gives us extra time to watch our film and dive into what we did wrong and what we can fix. But it also gives us more time to dive into Tulsa, and we can really watch an extensive amount of film on them, get together as a group and go through what we need and do all that kind of stuff.
Their defensive front's always been pretty solid. What have you seen from them on film?
Yeah, they're a good defensive front. There's no doubt about it. They got a Power 5 transfer but what I always say, and this has been with every team we played, it's more about what we do. It's more about us. I truly believe we can beat any defensive front as long as we play how we need to play. And so, yeah, they're a good defensive front, but at the end of the day, it's going to depend on how we play and us playing our game.
And you talked about a little bit last week of not having just 2 weeks ago, not having a game y'all wanted. When it comes down to things like that, like execution things or turnovers, how do you prepare yourself, mentally to correct those things?
Yeah, so mentally, it's especially for O-line, right? So we're the ultimate protector, right? That's what we do. We block every play. That's all we do. So running to the ball, trying to pick up our backs, letting them know we have them, we got their back. They can feel like, I guess comfort in the fact that we're going to be around the ball at all times. That's the number one way we've been focusing on trying to eliminate those self-inflicted wounds.
And then on the practice field last week, where do you think the offense got better? What do you see?
Yeah, we obviously corrected some things from last week, schematically, but we also got to improve, the young guys, which, everyone's touched on that, but the young guys scrimmages are always fun, right? We got to come together closer as a team and coach up the young guys, and you get to see some of them battle, which is, it's always a good thing.
When those young scrimmages are happening, or be honest, are you keying in on the O-line, or are you watching some of the flashy plays?
It depends, right? When Coach touched on it, Chase ran for 80 yards. It's hard to look at the O-line when guys running past everyone on the defense. But, for the most part, we like to look at the O-line, try and coach our position up. But, obviously there's some plays it's like, wow, you got to watch the skill guys.
3-3, looking pretty good right now. I know you got to focus on Tulsa. But let me ask you about that last game, getting prepared for this game against Tulsa. How much angst do you have to get back on the field if I get this win?
Yeah, I think I already touched on it. Sucks going into a bye week after a loss, right? Because you get a bad taste in your mouth, and you just want to get out there and play and scrub the past. But luckily, we had a short week, right? We play on Thursday, so we get to get a little quicker, recovery time, whatever, and get ready to get back out on the field.
Does Tulsa's defense remind you of anybody you've played this year, or are they totally different?
This year, I wouldn't say they're totally different. They do some things that we've seen, some things that we know how to pick up. Obviously, I've played against Iowa every year of college, so that I've seen some of the things they do just by being at Nebraska. But I wouldn't say they exactly look like any other team, but we've seen things that they do, and other teams do the same thing, but they have their own little scheme.
Still, maybe I know the game that's hard to believe the game just 2 days. So,
Yeah.
But is there one area that you think Tulsa really excels in, that their defense, that you got to be really concerned about?
I wouldn't say concerned. I think at the end of the day, their team is a run team, right? So what do they get all summer? They get runs. So they're probably going to be a good run stopping team. That's one thing that we're trying to improve as an offensive line is our consistency in run blocking. So that's one thing that we've been honing in on and trying to improve, and it doesn't change this week.